Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Outs. Welcome back to my channel. We're talking Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They are still in their Milwaukee trip, and this is the last night, so there's a lot of stuff going on. So they're in Milwaukee, and Lisa decides not to go to this event that Whitney has set up. When you guys hear that beep on my recording, that's because somebody's text messaging me anyway. So she decides not to go to this event, this day event that Whitney has set up for the cast, and it was to the Miller Cave, which looked really cool. Instead, they went curling at some like Catholic place. And I say it's Catholic because it was like St. Mary's Ascension or some shit. I don't even know. But anyway, which by the way, I'm Catholic, but I mean, like, I would not want to go curling instead of what Whitney had set up. But what happened was that while all the ladies were getting ready in the morning, Whitney, as the hostess, she was going around the rooms, making sure everybody was ready, letting everybody know what they were doing and all this other stuff. But Meredith beat Whitney to Lisa's room, and she got there first. She told Lisa that Whitney and Angie had came up to her the night before at the basketball game and was basically like, do you trust Lisa? You know, she's done stuff to you, which I thought was pretty messy. If you know that her and Meredith are in a good place, why would you go up and try to, bring up stuff from the past so that she would dwell on it? And that was the thing. Meredith said it perfectly in her confessional. And what she said was, Lisa has not done anything to me new. So like, why would you bring up stuff in the past if not just to cause trouble between the two of us? And she called it for what it was. And she said, Whitney and Angie, they were trying to get me onto their teams. And that was what they were trying to do. You're coming there to try to put these seeds of doubt in somebody else's head about their friendship. Then yes, you're trying to bring somebody over onto your side of the team. And like she said, Lisa hasn't done anything new. So like, why rehash stuff from the past? And the stuff that they were saying was like, well, look what she said about you, that you fucked half of New York, that and the other. But I mean, look, in the past, everybody has said something bad, right? I mean, there's castmates currently saying stuff about current castmates. So I just felt like they were digging for something or using anything. They had nothing recent, so they had to use something from the past. But Meredith didn't fall for it. She told Lisa, although to be fair to Whitney and Angie, I also felt like Meredith is being a little messy, not with Lisa, but she was being messy with the Whitney stuff, which we're going to get into. So Lisa's feeling a certain way. She's upset. And of course, she's not going to want to sit in a small van with like the rest of the ladies, especially if she's feeling a certain way about Angie and Whitney. So when Whitney comes in, she decides that she's not going, and Whitney right away can sense that something is off. But, Lisa's not elaborating. So Whitney's just like, okay. Lisa decides to ask the two friends of to go with her. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. That was definitely something that production made happen. What do I mean when I say production made happen? What I mean is that Lisa Barlow was probably feeling a certain way, telling her field producer, that's the field producer that is assigned to her. And it's probably like, listen, I'm not going. I'm not sitting in the van. I'm feeling, whatever about Angie and Whitney, and I'm not going to sit in a van and pretend to enjoy myself. Her field producer was probably like, okay, whatever. So then some poor assistant or intern had to whip out his or her phone and Google for something very quick to do. And they ended up with like St. Peter's Ascension curling ring. So that's how they ended up there. It was very last minute. And I could tell that it was something that a poor assistant had to whip out their phone and set up. But Lisa, she legit should have just swallowed her pride and her ego, suffered through whatever she was feeling about Whitney and Angie, and just went to the fucking event because it looked really cool. So where they went was they went to the Miller Cave. Mary is sitting there. There's a flashback of her talking about her Dom Perignon and her 2003, and there was a heat wave and so many people died, but that year was very great for wine. Again, like I said, definitely not a woman of God. I don't imagine a woman of God talking that way, or definitely not acting that way, but also definitely not talking that way. Whitney and Heather, they do get a moment to talk at the end of the luncheon where Heather tells Whitney what Meredith had told her at the bar when they went to go to the casino. So the allegation is that Whitney is basically jacking up the prices from stuff that she gets from Alibaba Express. Now, essentially what she's saying is that these are curated jewelry. So that's what she was trying to say. But the allegation is it's mass-produced in a factory in China somewhere, and that instead of belonging at the JCPenney jewelry section, it belongs at the Walmart rack right by the checkout cashier. So she's adamant that's not true. Now, their second event is at the Harley Davidson, which all the ladies do attend, and they go to have a midday meal. Like legit, these ladies, Salt Lake City is my favorite because legit, they go to like these events and they freaking eat. Like I love it. They eat. Like if the network is paying for all these fantastic events and dining experience, like get your food, girl. This is why I love Salt Lake City. They go to these nice events. They do all these nice stuff. And nobody ever thinks of Salt Lake City, Utah as like, you know, the it place to be, the hip and happening, trending place to be. I really do enjoy the show. And also, I've said this multiple times, the camera crew for Salt Lake City deserves to win an Emmy because they have the best camera crew and editing department. In this episode, the episode actually starts off with like a play on the opening credits of the Laverne and Shirley show. And it was a very old show, very much in like that time frame of like the Mary Tyler Moore era. Love the editing that they did for the opening credits. So best editing team, best camera crew. And I also enjoy it because like they have these really nice local events that really like showcase the local city. You know, they went to Milwaukee, you know, they're checking out the Harley Davidson Museum, and then they have another dinner, brunch, lunch, I don't even know what to call it, but whatever they're having, it looks delicious. Angie and Lisa get into it for a little bit, and what happened was Lisa was upset and she brings it up about Whitney and Angie. But actually what started the conversation was that Whitney brought up about what Meredith said about her jewelry. Whitney was saying to Meredith that she's trying to sabotage her. And then Meredith is like, no, I wasn't trying to sabotage you. I was just saying to let you know out of concern that, hey, this is being said about your business, which I don't truly believe. I actually do think that, you know, Meredith is feeling a certain way, that she feels that Whitney is poaching upon her livelihood in the sense that, you know, she's doing everything that Meredith herself has already established for herself, especially with the jewelry line. Now, Heather says, you know, I didn't get that sense. I felt like she was just telling just to let you know that it's out there. And then Lisa tries to jump in and defend Meredith. And then Whitney is like, you know, don't jump in, don't bring other people into it. And that's when Angie jumps in. And then Angie is like saying that Lisa hasn't been a good friend to her. Lisa tells Angie that she's the one who hasn't been a good friend. And Lisa's like, you know, our relationship changed when you told Whitney a conversation that I told you in confidence, and you went and you told her. Now, Angie did something really weird. She got up, but it looked like she butted her chair out, which I thought was really weird. I feel like whenever people are overreactive and dramatic, throwing glasses, throwing chairs, whatever, they're trying to create that Teresa Giudice effect, which is the table flip, you know, what basically skyrocket the Bravo Housewife franchises into like the outer sphere, because I really don't think until Teresa did that table flip that most people were aware of, you know, Orange County or even Roni. I mean, those two shows were already out, but I don't think that many people were tuning in to watch it until the Teresa Giudice table flip. So whenever I see something like that, I always feel like, okay, they're trying to recreate the Teresa effect, because legit, and rewind it, watch it in slow-mo. When Angie gets up, it looks like she's butting out her chair, that like she is purposely trying to knock her chair over by like butting it, like pushing her butt out to knock it over, or she kicked it with her feet. I don't know. She either kicked it with the back of her feet, or she butted it so that the chair would fall over. I just thought that was a little pretentious, very overdramatic, very much doing it for the camera. She's saying all this other stuff and whatever else. Apparently they're able to move on and work over it, or work on it, or putting a pin on it. I don't fucking know what they did, but you know, it dies down. Lisa does bring up that, you know, oh, well, your go-to excuse is that you have to do something with Electra whenever you're trying to get off the phone with me. And Angie is like, look, that is low for her to say that. Like, you know, I am a present mother. Of course, I'm going to, like, you know, be there for my daughter, which I agree. If my daughter is saying something or needing me, I'm going to get off the fucking phone with you. So I'm not exactly sure how that was like looked at in a bad way. I didn't see it that way. I totally agree with Angie on it. So I don't know. I felt like Lisa was just grabbing at anything. Like, girl, like if you were on the phone with me, I would get off the phone with you too if my daughter needed me. Like, I didn't really understand where Lisa was trying to go with that one. But anyway, they move on from it when they were like, you know, don't talk about the kids, don't bring up the kids, whatever. But then Brittany has another announcement, which I think her announcements are always so lame. She always wants to do that little ding, 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 glass toast, but it's like, it's always so lame because she really has nothing that is worthy of a glass toast. Mary does an eye roll, and like, I normally don't agree with anything Mary does or says, but when it comes to Brittany, I am 9 out of 10 in agreement with Mary about Brittany. Brittany says that her and Jarrett are officially over. Like, okay. Anyway, so they start talking a little bit about her non-existent relationship with Jarrett. And then Broen starts asking like a lot of questions. Like, you know, is it because of the Osmond name? Like, did you just want to be with him because he's an Osmond? Which, by the way, I mean, maybe it's important in the Mormon community, but like legit, you telling me that you're with an Osmond is like you telling me that you are like dating the cousin of the nephew of the brother who mows the lawn of Ricky Lake. And if you guys are like, who the fuck's Ricky Lake? Exactly. But whatever, maybe, in her Mormon small community, this means something to her. I don't know. Well, anyway, so then Brittany starts getting upset, and Brittany ate her Wheaties that day. Let me tell you, Brittany, whether it was like a field producer or an assistant field producer, somebody came up to her and was just like, hey, you want to get a contract, you want to get more screen time, you want to come as a full-time cast member, you need to bring your A game, because legit, Brittany looked like she ate her Wheaties that day. She was preparing for like the freaking Summer Olympics or some shit, because she was going at it with Broen. She was saying like, okay, well, why are you so concerned with my relationship? Let's start asking about your relationship. Like, how did you meet your husband? Are you just with your husband because of his money? Are you just attracted to him because of his money? How many years apart are you? Like, she was going at it, which, you know what? I could understand it too. I could understand it from the perspective of, if you are, look, I mean, Brittany's Delulu when she, whatever it is that she feels about this relationship with this Osman nephew. But if she genuinely is delusional about being in a relationship with this guy, then she's going to feel like her relationship is being attacked, in which sense I could feel that she would be on the defense and that she would come after Broen for the same shit. Like, okay, let's talk about your relationship. Let's talk about your marriage. Are you with this guy who could be old enough to be your father? Are you with him because of his money? Are you sexually attracted to him? Tit for tat. Good for Brittany, because I was legit tired of your boring ass. But, they go for tit for tat. Broen is like, we don't have a prenup. I am in love with my husband. I'm actually in love with him. Whitney says that she understands how Broen feels with the whole gold digging, assumption and whatever else, because there's an 18-year difference between her and her husband, Justin, and she gets that a lot herself. Meredith had the best shade in her confessional, and what she said was like, look, me and Seth had a post-nup when we had our, little whatever the fuck it was that they were having. As she said, this is all very personal information. I don't think it's that big of a deal or whatever, but maybe there's no prenup because the first wife got everything. Maybe. Let me tell you, Steven Spielberg's wife, she got everything. I mean, she didn't get everything, but she got a lot. She got enough where she don't need to work, is what I'm saying. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's no prenup because the first wife got everything, like Meredith said. And then they get ready to go to the drag show. I'm kind of upset that the drag show was only like the last 5 minutes, because the whole entire reason why they went to Milwaukee was because of the drag show. So I wish they would have shown it a little bit more than just like the last 5 minutes. And legit, Broen walked out with a fucking costume on. Like, Broen is like if you imagine what an emoji would look like in real life, Broen is an emoji. On her first episode on our television screen, she was a heart emoji. And now she's a freaking hot dog emoji. So I don't know. She went in there dressed like a wiener with like the little mustard cap on and everything else. And like, legit, girl, it's not happening. So this was the episode. This was the recap. What did you guys think of the fight between Lisa and Angie and Whitney? The fight between Whitney and Meredith? And then the little mini fight between Broen and Brittany. What did you guys think of the episode? Which event did you guys enjoy the most? The curling, the Miller Cave, the drag show, or the Harley Davidson Museum? Okay, don't forget to hit the like, follow, subscribe, leave me a comment, and all that good jazz. I'll check you guys out next time.